Okay, so
Action.
Diljith, when was the last time you were able to sit through one full movie at home? Yes, in movie theaters, you know, you're sitting with people, using your phone is rude. I've had students who log in with silly names like Santosh Carpenter, and so names are one funny thing, but
Stay for the learning. You come in for the excitement, but you stay for the learning. So these things catch their attention.
You can put this as a quote.
Yeah,
You
very
come in
well
for the
said.
learning and come in for the excitement, but stay for learning.
Yeah.
We want these students to read it. We want for them to understand the case before we discuss the case in class. Doesn't happen.
AI. What value can a teacher or a faculty add, which an AI is not able to do?
We don't have the attention span for 2 minutes. 50 minutes is an exaggeration.
Yeah, I said it. I think I said it with a frown. I enjoy reading those answer papers. I did not mean it with a frown, but we do.
Which game is that? The 4 squares. Ludo.
Ludo.
I mean, I'm so glad I can't remember the name of the game.
You're so
You are addicted to
successful.
it and- In the world where everybody is distracted,
Mm-hmm.
if you get a bit of attention, if you are, I think you will be more valuable than others.
Very
right?
Yes,
Very true.
yes.
This,
So it's hardcore information, and then you take a brain break, and then there's information.
It's your own terminology. I
No,
suppose.
I don't think it's my own terminology.
Shruthi, Daania, thank you for so much for joining the conversation
It's
today.
our pleasure.
I think you guys have been sending us materials also that it gave us a motivation to have the physical conversation. We have been interacting a lot online. So it's great to have you here. I think as part of Sangam, I think you're part of the community and you know what is happening there. But I think what we are trying to capture, to just give the context to the audience, is that we are trying to capture how are teachers or faculties managing the current landscape of technology and also the landscape of students, right? And these two things are changing extremely fast. And I think even though fundamentals of teaching, learning remains the same in our education system, but fundamentally, I feel like the education system is looking at it in the same perspective.
Right.
But from a teacher's perspective
It's
and from a
changing.
student point of view, it is changing a
It's
lot,
rapidly.
especially in the environment and the climate in which we are dealing with students, right? So we would like to go, just have some, I mean, it's not like between you and me, it's between three of us. So maybe we can share it between us, even fight over it. I will maybe nudge you to think a bit on that, and then we will see where it goes.
Right, absolutely.
So maybe quick introduction, Shruthi, and then.
So I'm Dr. Shruthi Bekal, and I've been working in the education space for more than a decade now. It's been 11 amazing years, and definitely I can say that there has been a huge change. So that's why I'm here. Along with the teaching, I'm also pursuing data analytics from IIM Kozhikode. So I think data and AI, it's been truly on my mind because of the happenings of this day and age.
What you're doing in this one?
Data analytics.
As a course?
As a course.
Okay.
Yeah, through Emeritus.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's again an online course.
So why data course suddenly? Or?
I think it's my passion.
So, but what are you teaching?
I teach marketing.
Okay.
So I don't think you can have marketing today without bringing in analytics and data.
Okay.
So that's the space I am in.
Interesting. Daania?
I'm fairly new. In fact, I'm very, very new.
Okay.
So, very, very south of a decade. Classroom teaching experience just a year, but I started teaching right from when I was 19.
Okay.
So, virtually, I started out virtually where instruction was one-on-one. I did that for 3 years. So, it was personalized tutoring for students, but it happened in this one-on-one space. Then after that, I transitioned to teaching in live classrooms virtually. So I log in as an educator. We have someone who takes care of the students in the classroom. I deliver the lesson. They help me deliver the lesson. That happened. And then I had the opportunity of joining and teaching live at the university level. So overall, I would say I have more experience in this space.
What are you teaching? Sorry.
Sorry. Yes, very important. I am primarily from humanities and social sciences. I teach English.
Okay.
But having been here for a while, I did teach business ethics. I teach financial communication right now. Apart from that, virtually I teach sociology and psychology.
Okay, so that's quite a bit.
Many hats.
Okay, interesting.
Interdisciplinarity, multidisciplinarity, however we want.
So you talk a lot. I mean, that I understood. So somebody from a marketing background and one. So do you complement each other, or how does that go?
We think of each other as the perfect tuning folks.
Yes.
Okay.
We match, we reverberate.
In
sync. Absolutely.
Okay. So on that lines, if we can just quickly grab on your experience in teaching online, and it's also evolving, right? It's not like what we thought teaching online maybe 10 years, 20 years before, and 10 years before, 5 years before, and after COVID, it's it's a different world. Even though the dip came, some of the residues remain, I feel. Even though everybody moved online, but even though after COVID, it all went back to normal, there was a lot of residue that carried over the period. So how do you, what is your experience in maybe teaching online? Let's start with maybe Shruthi only, and then we can capture on.
Well, right now I'm learning online, but teaching online happened during the COVID-19 primarily. And that time we didn't have AI. So our ability to bring in the attention of students was still challenging because you had social media that would distract them. But getting them to make their assignments by themselves, we never had a challenge over there. Like
because they will not use AI to.
Absolutely, yes. And if they would copy, it would be a few dedicated sites. You can make sure that it is from Wikipedia because you would see the hyperlinks. It would be so easy to detect it with our eyes. You wouldn't need any AI or plagiarism tool for that. But I think that has changed.
So, but currently, if I go back to what you're doing right now, so you are using a lot of technology in the current classroom.
Absolutely, yes.
So what are the technologies that you're using? How is that going?
So primarily we use technology to engage our students in the class, to bring in a little bit of attention, because like I told you earlier, students have been using social media so much that you can see that the moment they're looking at you, but their attention isn't there. So trying to get their attention more than their physical presence, their mental presence is what we are striving for. So we've been using certain tools like the quizzing platforms, and
how do you get that? Why do you think the attention is? I mean, I know it's a big question, but why do you think the attention is coming down?
If I were to go by data and the research that's present right now, I'd say it's because of social media. And add into that, there is absolutely nothing that they have to, dedicate the thought process into. You have a question, answers are ready. There's absolutely no presence and no one to guide them, or no one has been talking about it. We don't have a system where we would say that you have to be present mentally. Tools like meditation, etc., is mostly an afterthought. So does
that make a difference? What do you think? I mean, on the attention, let's get
to add to that.
It's a primary topic, right? Everybody says attention span is going down. Students are not, maybe a student listening to it, what should a student, I don't know, we can't tell it from a student point of view. They will also be going through a lot of difficulties and challenges. But what do you think, if a student has to be a bit more on the attention span, as a teacher, what can we do to kind of help with that?
I think, yes, although we cannot answer it from the student's perspective, we see aspects of this play out in our life as well. So if I had to ask you, Diljith, when was the last time you were able to sit through one full movie at home? Yes, in movie theaters, you're sitting with people, using your phone is rude. But when you're sitting at home in front of your laptop, in front of your TV, there is a 3-hour movie that's playing, how often do we reach out for our phones? Because we are programmed in such a way that everything is available. And there is that, the phone is almost like an extension of your hand, and it's an unconscious process at this point. So because of that, because multitasking is not even thought of as multitasking, it is the norm now. Okay, someone is talking to you, but at the same time, I don't know. It's weird that I don't have my phone here right now, because it becomes an extension of your hand itself. So that one thing, you can't really blame them for not paying attention to you, because I think collectively we've fractured that everything. You take 3 minutes to decide if you want to continue watching a reel. You need to have this whole theatrical performance even in class. So there are times I feel I'm very theatrical. Do I move my hands a lot? And if I don't do it, I lose my students. So it's just like we're brainstorming hooks. Okay, what is going to hook my audience in 3 minutes? What are the first 10 seconds of my class? Sometimes it really needs to be like that.
When I see my students smile looking at our expressions, it's a win for me now, because they're paying attention to me.
Yes. And one thing that I think you can elaborate on that is, even before we enter class, and this is a practice that was inculcated with online teaching, was before you enter, you greet your students with the learning objective for the day. So on classroom screens, we add the learning objective. This is what we are going to do, and this is the structure of the lesson. That helps them ground themselves.
Why do you think so? Because they know where they are going?
Yes. So you know how the next 50 minutes are going to go, and
they
after
want
20...
to know where they are going.
And they question it. You know, we were earlier talking about this generation being different. We never questioned. And they question, which is a very good thing, right? But it also makes you answerable.
What kind of questions?
Like, ma'am, I don't see why are we learning that. If I bring up a topic, even if it's answers matrix, which we know it's important, I have had questions. Oh, ma'am, if it's that old, we are not living in that generation anymore. Why do we need it?
Okay, they're asking the why question. Why are we doing it?
Yes.
So coming back to the attention, so I mean, one tip that you were telling is saying that, okay, let's put the learning objectives or outcomes directly out there, which gives a clear sense of where they are. I mean, I'm trying to understand why the students would want it is to understand where they are going, and the 50 minutes is clear.
What is it going to look
Sujay,
like?
Switch off, or Sujay, should I listen to the class?
It does help with that as well. So yes. So you can either look and decide if you want to pay attention, but okay, if this is happening for 15 minutes, what are we doing today? Are we doing
a quiz?
It
down, or so what is? Is it just the learning outcomes, or you break it down? This is what we are planning to do in the
learning outcomes are there. So we have learning outcomes, and we try to limit to one learning objective per class. By the end of class, I will be able to understand how to write a business proposal.
So how are you preparing for it? I mean, so let's go back to your preparation time, right? You are not just walking into the class.
A lot of prep.
I'm sure you're using a lot of technology to help you prepare.
That's
so let's go a bit deeper into
We spend, and again, in comparison to traditional teaching, I feel with technology, prep time goes up quite a bit, because it does, because at least if I might be wrong about this, again, many people have different approaches, but if I had to think about a traditional brick and mortar class, I have my big thick notebook where I have my notes, I glance over them, and I'm just worried about what I'm talking about in class. Not worried about, okay, are my students going to enjoy this bit? Do they know? Making that, we use classroom screens.
What is
classroomscreens.com? Maybe you can...
So it's an online tool which allows you to put a lot of widgets on the screen. So you project the classroom screen through the projector on the blackboard, so to say. And the students are able to see a couple of things depending on what widget you choose to show at that time. Let's say that Daania spoke about the learning objective. So you can put a text box, put the learning objective there, and broaden it up enough for them to see as well. And then you can have things like QR code if you want to share.
Do they use mobile in the class?
We discourage it.
Okay.
So we have this...
they can, but bring it.
They can.
You can't stop them.
You can't stop
we have questions like, how do we eat food if we can't use our mobile phone to pay?
Okay. Yeah.
How do we go home?
I, on the other hand, would encourage them to be on their phones for the majority of my class. And I'll tell you what I use to
that's interesting.
ensure that accountability. But to conclude with what classroom screen was, it's just to welcome the student into a space, giving you the idea, this is what we're doing. So QR codes go there. You can play lo-fi music if you want to, something that we haven't done just yet, because again, time, and it takes time for you to set up your projector, all of that. But once you do that, I think we were talking about phones, right?
Yeah.
If we allow the
Yeah.
use of phones, what I do is my QR code is always to the Wayground lesson. So
Okay.
I put my lessons, the slide deck that I'm
Yeah.
using, onto a Wayground. Everybody logs
What is a
in.
Wayground?
Okay.
For the audience who doesn't
Yeah.
know.
So a Wayground is a website where you can make your lessons interactive, and this is primarily what we do in online teaching.
W-A-Y.
Wayground. So
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that at some point we would have heard of quizzes
Yeah.
as a quizzing platform. Quizzes is now Wayground. So they.
Okay. What
so-
is different? Like Mentimeter is something which many of our
That's-
faculties use, but how is that different from a Wayground?
A Wayground has a Mentimeter as well. So it's
Yeah.
like a bigger
Version of
version of all the teaching tools that you might ever need. So you have quizzes, you have interactive videos, you have lessons,
Correct.
everything.
Yeah.
So one way in which I use it, of course, there are so many other ways. Whatever your slide deck is, and everyone has
Correct.
slides. You upload your slide, it generates questions rather than me asking the question to the student. It is on the screen. Now, even when I have a question, okay, what do you think a proposal is, or what is utilitarianism? You have 3 students who might answer, the others are just sitting, and there is this tendency where students feel, "Acha, he's talking, why do I have to?"
Correct.
3 people are carrying the conversation, why do I have to worry?
Correct.
But with a Wayground, 50 people join my lesson, 50 people ke responses I am waiting for. What is
you're waiting till it,
utilitarian? Yes, and there are timers, and because everything is there, they can hear the clock tick. The minute it's 10 minutes, you literally have that click, 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 click sound, and they know that they need to, and it's competitive. If you answer, there is a leaderboard.
Oh, okay.
So
you use this in your teaching?
Yeah.
almost every class, I try to take a Wayground to my class.
Okay, that's quite interesting. So, okay. So, I mean, I'm going back to the preparation time. So, I know if you're starting to use this technology,
Yeah.
how do you prepare? I mean, I'm going through your thinking process, right? So, a faculty who is listening, sitting there and saying, "Oh, I don't know how to handle the students." What may be the 3 things that you would like to? You already mentioned the tool, but from a thinking point of view, what should they be starting with? I can see, I mean, let me summarize from based on what because they are on phone, even if you try to take them off phone, it is not going to work because they will be in phone, right?
Yeah,
At the end so you're like fighting the flow rather than going with the flow.
You want to be on your phone, might as well be on your phone, but I'll
use the phone
accountability. Exactly.
Now they have to respond.
Yes.
You're
They have to
tracking them that they are not scrolling the reel.
Otherwise, phone's not allowed. You're on your phone, you're on the lesson with me. Otherwise, put your phone away. That's
Okay.
my classroom policy.
Because 50 people, if they are not responding, then
I see tabs. Dhananjay switched from Wayground to another tab.
Oh,
And
is it?
immediately it's a pop-up and everyone in class is like, Dhananjay. No one likes to be called out like that.
Correct. So if they are in the Wayground, if they
have-
pop out,
Yes, I get an alert saying this person left the tab. This is how many seconds they spent outside. This is when they came back.
this is background analytics, or is it?
You can
Yes.
enable it on your screen as well.
So you have enabled it on your screen.
Because we share our screen.
Can
and
you share some interesting examples of? I'm just going a bit deeper into that. Examples of using Wayground, funny stories, interesting stories.
Okay, one thing that we struggle is with names because there is autonomy for any name that you can pick.
Okay.
I've had students who log in with silly names like Santosh Carpenter, and
Okay.
so names are one funny thing, but
Or you can't know it's actually.
you
them.
don't know who it is.
You can't
So-
validate with an email ID or something like that.
I don't get the email ID unless I go download the entire report. So in
Okay.
class, I'm like, okay, Santosh, okay, let's look at the leaderboard. Everyone's very excited. 3rd place, you have a name. 2nd place, you have a name. 1st place, it's Murthy Plumber. Who's Murthy Plumber?
Okay.
So that,
I bet somebody will say it.
it was me.
Yeah.
But yeah, that
Okay, that's
maybe is
interesting.
funny.
But from a learning point of view,
It becomes interesting because anything that's new this is the first time it's happening because schools don't allow tech in yahan pe. I don't think
Yeah.
schools may are allowed
Yeah,
iPads
yeah,
or maybe
yeah,
Chromebooks.
yeah.
It's all talking, and I primarily teach 1st year students exclusively.
this
So-
is which age group? I mean, so first year in college.
Undergrad,
right?
yes.
Undergrad first year.
Yes.
These are 21, 22 years.
No, 18.
18-year-olds.
18.
Okay.
So they're just out of school and their college, and this is their first experience of what university teaching can be. So
Okay.
I am in a lucky space because I can establish a stage for them because everything is new. They know that, okay, college teaching is different. How is it different? I have a lot of wiggle room there. And this is how it's in my class. Everyone has to interact. It's fun because it's new, it's fun. But then again, it goes back after 1 week. They're like, oh, Waygrounds again, and then you're like, okay, let's find something new for you.
Okay.
As I said, going back
Yeah.
to what I said, it's this theatrical dance that you need to keep changing to keep them engaged.
Any similar experience in your line of thing that you are trying to do?
Actually, the story wasn't completed. She was actually talking about how you can incentivize. Okay, you have a funny name. Let's incentivize it through,
Right.
gifts or prizes at the end of the semester, right?
Correct. Yes.
So
Yes.
Yeah.
Want to
You can
expand
continue.
that?
So we the kids are with us for one semester if you teach them one subject, but sometimes as a class teacher, that group is with you for the entire year. So you have a funny name, it's creativity. And I feel that right now, creativity needs to be awarded. So we had the thought, okay, before they graduate, we're going to have end of year awards and we're going to award things like the most creative name on Wayground.
Oh, like
So
that.
that
one of the
Okay.
it might be encouraging stupid, silly behavior, but originality hai to lo. Anything that gets you to participate.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
I'm just going back to I'm just putting my shoes to an teacher who is really taught 20 years and thinking, what are these teachers telling? You are making classroom like entertainment
Fish
ground.
market, yeah.
What would you tell them? Or like, is learning actually happening, or is it actually like, is it just entertainment or
See
learning?
your concern.
If I may put it from a, I'm just thinking from a teacher who is listening to us, or faculty who have that taught 20 years and 30 years, and like, oh, these people, they're doing.
They're
What would you
ruling
tell them?
education. I think I'll let
feel
first.
that it's very easy for back in the day to get the students in the class because attendance is the primary motive. But today, with the number of distractions, what we are doing right now with these activities is to get them excited to come to class, not for attendance but for the activities. Stay for the learning. You come in for the excitement, but you stay for the learning. So these things catch their attention.
We can put this as a quote.
Yeah,
You
very
come in
well
for
said.
the learning and but come in for the excitement, but stay for learning.
Yes.
Okay.
So we've been trying to work at moving the students from. So we've been telling the students 75% attendance, but through my discussions with them, I've realized that puts so much pressure on the end goal of attendance that they don't realize why are they requiring attendance. It's because we are focusing on learning. So that the moment you have things happening and I've got your attention, now we can work on feeding you content, making you understand things, retain them, and then focus on implementing it. Because we primarily focus on the mid-level Bloom's taxonomy, application-oriented questions in the second year, first year as well sometimes. So, it gets their attention.
So, let's go a bit on Bloom's. It still works, no? It's beautiful. The Bloom's taxonomy is still used. So, what do you mean by when you say
The
you use
mid-level?
Mid-level? So, when you are preparing as a faculty, how do you look at it from how do you prepare this, and what are the tools available to help you?
So this is where we would bring generative AI. So the fact that you can create questions, because students are using Gen AI to answer, right? So you might as well use it to answer, get your answers from Gen AI, but now critique it. And then, of course, giving them case-based simulations. So we've been using Gemini as a platform, Gen AI, to bring in through Canvas. So Canvas from Gemini to create simulations. So let's say that
how do you do that? Can you give me an example of a simulation that you have built?
So so we teach one of the primary topics in marketing is STP, segmentation, targeting, and positioning. And it can be made so much more fun if the students get to choose segments and then put them into choose what targets that segments they want to target, position the product a certain way, and then you get the results immediately.
Correct.
So it depends on how we are prompting. So it's taken a lot of reiterations, which brings back to the point what Daania mentioned earlier, that gadgets or technology makes things doesn't reduce time, not often, because now you're spending a lot more time in more, of course, higher order thinking. We are spending a lot of time figuring out how to re-prompt and re-engineer the prompt in a way that you'll get
Can you go deeper into that a bit? For example, you created this simulation. How did you go about it? I mean, people who doesn't know what a canvas is, let's go a bit on that. So Gemini has a canvas feature, which you can enables you to build tools, right?
Yes.
Okay. Imagine a teacher is there. Then what do we do?
So the best part is you don't have any coding to do. So you write your prompt. Let's say that
let's take the example of STP, or maybe a simple example. Or
let's go with pricing.
Yeah.
So let's say that we have about 10 different ways in which you can price a product. But that pricing depends on who you want your customers to be. So right from choosing the audience, looking at competition, choosing the pricing strategy, everything can be prompted. And
so you are imagining your class, and then you are breaking down into a simulation that you want to do, right?
So we have our learning outcomes that are set at the beginning of the semester through our teaching learning evaluation plan, right? So right from there itself, we choose what topic that we are planning to teach on a specific day. We decide how do we want to go about it. And these new age tools, we can't sometimes stick to the same plan that we have at the beginning of the semester. We have new tools being released rolled out every other day. So right now we've been using simulations, and because they are free, it makes it so much more accessible to students.
So how do you do this? So so let me break it down. You use Canvas, you went and put all your ideas, prompted and made it into a product. Now you have a link.
Yes.
Now you take them, you send it to students, or do it in the class. How does that work?
That's again in the class. The reason for it is that we've been doing a little bit of, cracking the code of how things work with our students. The moment you give it to them and say, do it on your own, they'll use anything possible to take a screenshot and, you know what, you've already got your results. Why don't you send it to me? So we're trying to break that by getting people to do it in the class. So
how does that work? So you project it, and then what happens?
We project the code. So the QR code, the link to the simulation, the canvas, we project it via a QR code using classroom screen. And then the students log in. They don't need to log in as well. They just need to scan it and you can proceed. You don't even require a laptop for it. You can do it on your mobile phone itself. So the students complete it, take a screenshot. Now in order to make sure that they are not just playing it for the fun of it, we give them accountability by making them answer the report. Now, the report is something, again, I don't want to give them as homework. I've made it very certain that the students either bring their laptop, because it's much easier to work on their own laptops, or take them to the computer lab, get them to, and just very short paragraph, something that you should not be using an AI tool for.
Writing.
Right. And then make a very brief, paragraphs of what they understood through the simulation, how were they able to apply the knowledge they learned when they were simulating the entire activity.
Okay. That's very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
The simulation itself looks like an interactive website, so it's very clickable. So building on the example that she itself gave us, maybe you have a welcome page and you click on something, it leads you to something else. There's a good 5 minutes you spend interacting with the website, learning, and I think there is a lot of inbuilt curiosity in the students when there is something new. So every class, a new simulation, it's new. Okay, you click on things that you would not worry about paying attention to in the class, which is why the learning objective from the beginning becomes important, because the entire lesson all the way to the simulation is tied to that one learning objective. So you click, and so I teach communication. So there's a lot of writing that happens.
Correct.
So as of, I think yesterday, we discussed how to write a business proposal. So you teach them, okay, these are the 5 things that need to be there on every single business proposal. The simulation was the same. So the first slide or the first page of the website is these 5 things. How do you write these 5 paragraphs? So if you're writing your executive summary, keep it under 1 page. This is what you will write. They learn, they have a quick recap on page 1. On page 2, they can pick 3 scenarios. So, okay, this is a company that requires these services. How are you going to pitch your service? You write it. And again, depends on how you want to prompt your website. Again, all it takes is, I want feedback, immediate feedback. Gemini will embed an AI tutor, an AI mentor that will evaluate responses. And their outcome or their measurable for that class would be, show me what your AI mentor said for your proposal. And it's not at all complicated. It's just, I want to create a business proposal simulation. This is my learning objective. Give 3 random scenarios, because choice-based learning works with students. Rather than telling this is what you will do any of these 3. It might be the illusion of choice, but that.
Is it possible for you to show some of these examples that you have created?
Absolutely.
Some of it, because then I think Nidhi and the team can put it and show some of the examples. Because I want to maybe take this moment to inspire some of the teachers who think that they cannot really create simulation, or it's a big thing. It's become so easier to, if you have an idea, I think we were discussing this, I think building has become quite easier, that if you really, I think you just need to know what you really want. Right? So if you have a clarity on what you really want, the tools are becoming quite easier to develop. Okay, I think we covered quite a bit on the AI. I think it naturally progressed from teaching and this one. So, but I'm still going back to the attention that we started with. So, right. So, if I may summarize 2, 3, I mean, like the one point that I understand is we go with the technology. We cannot discourage people to not use technology per se, because they are using phone. It's rather use it. I think the point more is how can you enhance that experience, but you don't want them to be distracted and scrolling those reels out there. We want them to be learning and studying. So we would want to create something which excites them, also creates a learning experience. You gave a great quote that you bring them with excitement and then continue them with learning. But is there anything that you want to add on to this in terms of attention and improving? Is there anything else that you have more ideas so far?
The use of Pomodoro technique, and again, classroom screen helps us with that as well.
Can you break down Pomodoro for people who have not heard of it? The 20 minutes.
Okay, so this is not verbatim, and I might be
no, but the way you are using it.
So basically, you break down the entire chunk. So our classes run for 50 minutes, and students don't have the we don't have the attention span for 2 minutes. 50 minutes is an exaggeration. So we break it down right somewhere in the middle, or when I see the energy drops, and you can see it. It's like a physical thing just disappearing from the class when the students start sinking into their seats. So that's where I say, you know what, take 2 minutes. Mull over what we've discussed. Sometimes I might even have already posted a few links to certain articles on Google Classroom. So I tell them, why don't you have a look at it, read it, talk to each other about what we've discussed.
So you give that 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 3.
We call it a brain break.
You have a brain break.
So it's hardcore information. And then you take a brain break, and then there's information.
It's your own terminology.
No, I don't think it's my own terminology.
They call it brain fog nowadays, right?
That's giving your brain a break.
Just chill and talk about it and shout over it, or like it's a free space.
It's a free. Again, classroom screen actually has one widget which can monitor the noise level in the class.
That's fine,
Okay.
So
what is that?
So it's basically like a meter which points, if it's green, if it's less, it's on the green side. If the noise level is higher, then it slowly moves towards the red side.
It becomes fun because anytime it's like
what is that too? I mean, it's part of that.
Yeah, it's embedded with your system's microphone.
Oh,
so it's picking up on how much noise there is in the classroom. And ideally, we want it to be in the green. And then there are times, 30 seconds, no sound. But just for the fun of it, this boy will scream or the girl will scream, and immediately it goes up and it becomes a funny.
Screams in the class?
Just to get the meter a little high. It's just a fun thing that they...
Okay.
Yeah, anything that will keep them excited.
Okay. But how is learning happening? So if I understand all the simulation and things like that, how have you, I'm sure in your early stages in the career, you didn't have all of these tools. How is the learning? Do you see results in terms of how students are learning or changing, or is it the same, or like how does that? Is it the ones who are the toppers who still continue to make the edge, or
that I think we'll never be able to say. I mean, because there are so many variables over here.
How many students do you deal in a class?
Average is 50 to 60.
Yeah.
So somewhere around that number. But I mean, there are a lot of occasions where students who would not probably be interested otherwise, you can see them paying attention, the way they're looking, that they're paying attention. I think that's that's one of our measures, whether like, a feedback, a soft way of collecting feedback in the class. And I think we'll only get to know after they've left college, because these tools are something that's new, that's up and coming right now. And I haven't really heard from students who passed out of college recollect and say, yes, we remember these concepts as a result of these activities. I think that's something that will come with time. But for now, we're just happy with the fact that the students are able to pay attention and able to, reflect.
Because you were saying even getting that attention is become very difficult now.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
To sort of add to what...
Is it because they think that they can go back and get everything anyway?
Yeah, that's exactly the conversation I had today.
There was this student who said, "Ki, ma'am, we study on YouTube anyway. Okay, you're doing all of this, cool. But exam ke pehle to we study on YouTube." And to sort of combat that, counter that, we started bringing in notebook LM.
Okay.
You're going to go to YouTube, okay, but that is not
authentic. You don't know.
It's not tailored specifically to what we've taught you or what we want you to achieve. Because again, if the government has given us certain graduate attributes, and if we model our curricula, our courses accordingly, then we want the students to get that. And of course, YouTube is such a great repository for knowledge, but it does not speak to those exact attributes that we have put so much thought while building our curriculums. You like watching videos, you like a comic version of those videos, we'll give it to you. Whatever you need, you don't have to leave the classroom space. You don't have to leave Google Classroom, which is the primary LMS we use. So I feel for that we have this. If you tell us ki, ma'am, everything is accessible later on as well. To sort of maybe add to a previous concern that you highlighted, does learning even happen? When we say we use all of these tools, our classrooms don't look like, okay, we are talking and the students are on their phones. That's not what it looks like. The way I learned, again, teaching has evolved a lot. The way I was taught how to teach was the 50-minute lesson is split into 5 minutes for your bell ringer activity. Which is where, and again, it feels almost robotic that my lessons can look like this sometimes, and there is no scope for deviation. But that's all I know. Maybe, okay, spontaneity is there, but not as much. So 5 minutes for your bell ringer activity. So sometimes I bring in an anticipatory activity. Okay, are we studying this particular poem? Then this is what we're going to do. So there's always a question that we start off with. Here we try to use collaboration boards. Everyone's thoughts, ideas are there.
Which tool do you want to specify?
Sometimes when we use Nearpod, again, Wayground has this as well. So you just launch the whiteboard activity and everyone
can
add their otherwise Mentimeter also has a similar thing where rather than adding just the word, you can add your response or word cloud. So anything, you start off with anything, or it can be a conversation itself. Set the scene, give the context, because context becomes important before you start teaching. 5 minutes, that goes away. 20 minutes of direct instruction. Because we're only targeting one learning objective. And we teach...
Direct information is, you are saying that the theory
teaching,
can be
yes.
the proper
teaching, hardcore
lecture.
Teaching, the lecture, 20 minutes, which is
why you may not use a flipped model where they you ask them to watch the video and come. Have you tried that or?
Personally, I have not.
Okay.
We haven't seen favorable responses.
That's what I was thinking. Like they may not even watch and come, and then you have students who have watched and come, and you have students who have not watched.
It doesn't matter how exciting or interesting it is.
Is it different from an adult learner who is like, for example, an executive learner who is coming and they will be more serious about it, or is it because of the age and 18 years old? Still, it's a bit difficult to say, oh, you watch it and come. They're like, oh,
chalta hai.
Maybe summary karke, they will read the summary and come. Are they doing that?
Oh, yes.
Now people are not watching the entire thing and they are just summarizing what is the most important thing.
Correct.
If you let them, they will use their phone and answer the question. Okay, did you read? We are fascinated with a lot of HBR articles that we read, and we want these students to read it. We want for them to understand the case before we discuss the case in class. Doesn't happen. We give them reading time with a timer. Doesn't happen.
Okay. I mean, I'm just flipping the thing, right? When do you think students should not be using AI? I mean, we have been pondering over this question, and also as if we can go into that, before going into that, we had an interview with Professor Vasanthi, and we were trying to capture, she's been teaching for 30 years. We were really trying to capture what if a person is coming into a class and if they are getting everything from AI, what value can a teacher or a faculty add, which an AI is not able to give? Have you thought about it, or do you have any perspective on it? I will maybe share with you the perspective of Professor Vasanthi. She specified, we are trying to create a framework. I don't remember all of it, but basically the experience, the experience of the crowd is something that AI is not able to replace, right? Because this experience comes from people and they share a lot of experience. The perspective, right? Because each one have their own perspective, and then when you bring people from different perspective, especially in a higher order setting where you're bringing 10 CEOs or 20 CEOs in a room, and then each one is from different sector, and then they are giving their perspective. Okay, maybe prompting could get it, but who will prompt it to get all that perspective? And this one. And the third one is the context setting, right? Because there is lot of contextual differences in which things change.
Right.
So these are three things. Do you resonate some of this? Because I'm going back and saying, if everything can be like you're walking into a class and the student says, hey, I can get this, I can query it and get it in GPT, or I can put it in Notebook LM. What can we do so that we what can we add value to a lecture where it's not AI replaced?
I think now we don't necessarily only teach, we are facilitators in the learning space. So being able to read and understand is very different. When you're using AI, that's usually what happens, right? When you put a question, it tells you the answer. But being able to think laterally, think out of the box, coming up with solutions, I think that's where we've been talking a lot about critiquing AI output, right? Bring in your own thought process. And
how do you do that?
Sorry. Recently, when I was introducing the concept of branding and brand building strategies, we had a discussion about how you position your product a certain way after choosing your audience, and then you move ahead to naming the brand. So I got students to use this collaborative a website called Padlet. So it allows us to give the students, so I asked the students to use AI, choose what target audience. After having given them a set of different sectors, I told them, within this, choose any sector of your choice, individually, independently. Pick whatever AI tool you want to use, create a brand, a logo, product, everything. You use your brains for it. And then they use AI the entire time, and then they critique. So they upload the image. So Padlet is used to create a collaborative notice board of sorts. So they put the image and comments. Again, that of course, you cannot ensure that the comment is not AI written. So that's where the presentation comes in. So get the students to have a debate about it, bring their own ideas. And these are times when we break the students into groups and ask them all to have a discussion. And then I go on rounds, speak to each group and see where they're at their...
Can we break that down? So how does that work? So if a faculty is saying that, okay, this is one activity that AI cannot replace, right? They get on to group. So can you give me a proper example of one activity that you have broken down and the outcome of it and how effective it was?
So I'll take the same example. So when I've told the students that you have to come up with, you ask the AI to come up with 5 different brands, 5 different logos, and then you ask it to, refine it. Those thought process of refinement.
So they will be refining in the class?
In the class, during the class, in fact. And the refining, the prompts are theirs. So the thought process is theirs. So even though they're working independently, I've told them, listen, you're supposed to take ideas from each other, help each other. So a little bit of collaboration also comes in. They give ideas, brainstorm, and those ideas which are theirs now, they have the AI tool further refine those brands. And then the thing is, this I did as a part of introduction to help them understand the importance of positioning. If you don't position it right, and position the product right before you decide to brand, you need to create a positioning for the brand. So if you don't decide the positioning, how there can be a mismatch with the entire process.
Correct.
And so it's basically you do the activity, make mistakes, and then I bring in the concept.
Okay.
So it's learning by making mistakes.
Okay.
And
this cannot be done by AI, right? I'm just thinking back to my question. So whatever you said, collaboration, debating, and this one, even prompting and making it better. It's maybe you can ask AI to prompt it better, but still you need. I keep telling you should know what you want.
Correct.
I think unless you know what you want, what will you prompt for? I think the tools are there to build, but you should know what to build.
Very true.
So somebody was telling me you have like 5 Google engineers sitting with you throughout the day. Like then the engineers are there.
Now, so you mean the Gen AI bots? You have 5 people at your disposal.
Yeah,
right.
Technically you are paying them whatever, like 10 lakhs per day or per month, and so you have like 50 lakhs worth of engineers sitting there, or even break it down into 5 lakhs worth of engineers sitting there. Now, what are you building with it? You should know what to build, right? Then only you can use that engineers to literally.
Love that example.
So it's literally like you have. If you are not using it, it's almost like you are wasting that.
True.
I
see what you mean.
In a way, like if you actually get a 5, forget AI times. Like go back in the age 5 years down before generative AI. To write some of these codes would have costed that kind of money.
Correct.
If an engineer would have actually written that simulation for you, you would have paid a proper Google level engineer to simulate. I'm just giving an example of a Google. The top developers in the country would have spent so much of amount of time to develop that simulation.
Very true, because even until I think last year also, when we were brainstorming, I want to bring in simulations into my classroom, and she was on these websites and she would tell me that these are so expensive. To buy an institutional subscription is very expensive. Cut to today, where we're able to take simulations to every single class. It has been democratized so well. Everyone has access to it.
But let me go back. Is it only you, or is it all the faculties? Is it so? Because sometimes we get into the delusion that everybody is using it, right? Do you think most of the faculties are trying these things, or like if they have to? No, we should not make a negative statement also. But technically, is it limited?
We have knowledge sharing sessions between the faculty members, so that way we do learn from each other.
Maybe Sangam as a platform, hopefully there will be more people building and reaching out to you to say, or maybe you should create simulations on marketing, and then maybe make it accessible for others. Maybe one of the simulations, if you have an example, we will share it within our group.
Absolutely.
So that many people also can see what actually it feels like, the examples of what you have created, so that if they want to create, and then it can be a place where others also share some of the simulations that they have done.
For sure. I want to go back to that question that you asked, if what is something that we can add value to as teachers. Yes, tech is there, but the ability to mirror off of each other and change the conversation, change the lesson based on yawning students, based on someone who's making or including. Engagement doesn't always have to look like a question on the phone that you need to ask. So all it takes is, someone is flipping their pen or tapping their pen. Bringing that into your instruction as an example is a way of bringing your audience back. And that is something only humans are capable of. Another thing...
I like that idea. What is that? So how do you deal with it? So if somebody, imagine I am like that crazy, interesting student who's trying to keep myself going. So how do you deal with it? Can you give me an example?
You call it out publicly. I can give you a specific example as well. We use it in a very simple way, where instead of using Ramu and Raju as examples, you bring in students' names. So that, immediately alert ho jata hai.
Then they're like...
what did she say about me now? And then everyone's like, no, it wasn't about you. So clearly, person A wasn't paying attention, but now is. And because of that little conversation, everyone is. Now they want to know what this person A did. So with business communication, again, going back to the proposal idea, okay, we're looking at business proposals. Fine. What do we have a problem with? They give us a problem. Or someone who's not interested at all. Okay, see that is the problem. How are we pitching our solution there? So bringing in live examples of what is
so
happening
somebody is not
in
interested,
the
you come and say, how do
Yeah.
you pitch them this idea?
Yeah.
Makes
Or
sense.
something, maybe they were just playing this boy who had AI glasses, those Ray-Ban AI glasses.
They can bring that?
Yeah, we haven't problematized it yet, and I think I should
Because the
bring
technology
it.
has evolved and there's no
Yeah.
policy to...
Right, yeah.
And now I feel that I should have brought it to the notice of the management, but I was just intrigued because I've never used it, and I was
Yeah.
like, okay, you have it, I want to try it. So I think that's where the
Curiosity came.
my curiosity overtook my teacher policing. No, that's not allowed in class. But yeah, so that you bring it in as an example.
It's still expensive. I think it's going to become way cheaper.
Yeah.
Eventually. So you will have
Perhaps.
everyone wearing...
Right.
Yeah,
And
glasses.
see, I'm just going back to my times, right? I mean, when we were... There was one time, then they said you cannot use camera phones in your class.
Yeah.
Do you remember the times when they say, no, you cannot bring camera phones
phones,
into
yes.
your... At that time, the cameras were... the
There's a
tiniest
pixelated,
camera,
I
the
know.
pixelated camera. But it was considered like the entire society is getting destroyed. People are taking photos and sharing.
Right.
And we all evolved.
Yeah.
When you go back to those
By
news
leaps.
reports, and when you now turn back to 15 years down the line, it seems to be that camera phone was never a problem now. But at that time, the reports were like, okay, you are completely destroying.
True.
So I think the glasses, I
Yeah.
think now when
Very
we are we are not used to it,
Yeah.
we may sound, glasses. They are recording me, or like,
Yeah.
imagine
It
the Google
does
glasses came
happen.
and then
Right.
we were this
Mhm.
one. So eventually, maybe
Yeah.
5 years down the line, everybody is wearing it.
Correct.
And we are also
True.
wearing it. And now I'm like getting questions from my glasses. I don't know.
That
So
reminds me. So, so far we've been telling students when they're getting into the exam hall, no mobile phones, no earphones, no smartwatches.
Yeah.
We'll add
And we're
another.
going to have a long list, I think, in the future.
No smart anything.
No, yeah.
X,
Smart gadgets.
X, smart, X, please variable, I think, right?
But you'll have to mention them to
Yeah.
be clear.
Okay. That's very interesting. So you bring them back, choosing examples. And
Yeah. And the
another
first-
thing we have, I personally experienced, when you have a crowd and somebody's not attending, can you please summarize that?
Yeah.
That's a very,
Still
very
works.
nice. It's
Still
a
works.
classic.
Yes.
Hey, if you can summarize that points to everybody else, so
Yeah.
that's a reminder.
But now these kids don't have filters. They're like, I wasn't listening, ma'am.
Oh,
I was
okay.
zoned out,
How do you deal
ma'am.
with that? No, you can't deal with that.
There's no way you can deal with
Yeah.
it. So you either, because again,
So, but still, the attention is back.
Yes.
it's back.
Right?
It's back
At
for
least
now.
post
At least
that
for
point.
that, this one, and then you can
It's
ask
back.
somebody else to say, can you tell him
Yeah.
what is happening?
Mm.
Because you can't. That's the only way to deal with it. And you can't be a police at the end of the day. I think
Correct.
that's the point that you want to clearly make, right?
Mhm.
Yes.
We are not here to police you, or we are not
Absolutely
here to tell you
not.
what to do. We are trying to see what we can do to help you to learn better.
Exactly.
I think
Because
that point is very
Mhm.
clear.
we just see a sleeping student in our classroom. It could be because of multiple
Yeah,
things.
we don't know.
It's not that the person stayed up scrolling on Instagram.
Mhm.
Maybe they genuinely have trouble at home. And if we as humans are not able to empathize with that, we're no different than AI, who would
Mhm.
just deliver, talk, pause, karo,
Mhm.
play, karo.
Correct.
This thing is again
What
something
would
that's
you tell
irreplaceable.
students when they should not use AI?
Yeah, go on.
The first 20 minutes of my direct instruction, no tech, no AI, nothing.
Yeah.
That is listening.
Yeah.
Another thing with no AI at all is initial idea generation. When you turn and talk, or at the most I would allow for AI is one table, one AI. Otherwise, what happens? Everyone has a phone, everyone is getting an idea, and everyone's idea is great.
Mm.
There's no critical
Does this go back to
rethinking.
what we said? Like, initially, you have to really think of what you want.
Yeah.
Before going into typing and going into that line of thoughts, or
Even for it could be a simple question that you ask after your lesson. And anything right now, Diljith, it has to be validated by AI. You can't, students are not confident enough to say something without having the backing of AI. Yes, that interaction may you say something, but if you're giving them 15 minutes and if you're telling them come up with an idea, it does not happen without AI. So in that moment when you tell ki no, that is a no phone zone entirely, or one table, one phone, because I will not agree with your idea, you will not agree with that idea. Deliberation, brainstorming, it's forced. Again, I feel like, okay, this is what you want AI, here, use it. But then you will deliberate. So that is another way we bring in critiquing AI's response.
You have any examples that you want to share? Like
Of
when not to use, when you should not be relying on AI as a student?
I'm a big fan of reading. I feel that's how you grow your mind. So when I give them articles, that's one place I tell them, please don't have AI summarize it. And it doesn't really help. Same thing with even quiz. So when we give, we use a lot of platforms, AI platforms as well. For quizzing, it's impossible to monitor it, especially because you can just take a screenshot and yes, and but then again, it requires that those first 10 minutes. That's where I also bring in this idea that as much as possible, use this time to grow, use this time to broaden your horizons, your mind, right? So that's where I tell them that if you're conducting a quiz, try your best. But I've still noticed students taking a screenshot, uploading, because when you know that all 40 questions were absolutely perfect, no mistakes at all, there has somewhere, yes, definitely. And I think that's where one-on-one conversation helps. So in pockets, it's impossible to find time to talk to every student, but we do our best to have conversations one-on-one, and then just ask them to evaluate what are they here for.
What are they telling you? I mean, generally something interesting. What I'm just trying to put myself into their shoe. What are they going through? How are they seeing the class? I mean, sometimes we only look at it from we are like trying to teach and we are trying to push. What is their world look like from a learning point of view now? From what you have heard from them?
To the question of don't use AI?
Generally saying technology and things and assessment, learning, education.
We tend to put a lot of pressure on these students. And so there's multiple things that they are responsible for at any given point of time. Even if it's just college and just that one subject, we are teaching just one subject. Students have to study 5 subjects, let's say in a good semester, 4 subjects. Apart from that, they have club activities. There's so many responsibilities. So if they want for learning to be interesting, I think that has been a constant feedback. Ma'am, it's not interesting. It's not interesting. How do we make it interesting for you? Because if your entire life you've grown up where you sit, listen, maybe dictate notes are being dictated, you're writing, they want for this to be interesting and fun. And they constantly say that, ma'am, we want it to be interesting. We don't want it to be very taxing. So don't, it goes back to the simple thing, you don't give us work that we need to take home. Don't pressure us with so much more than what we have on our plates. Make it interesting, make it fun. And this is how we try to make it fun, to solve that one problem. Maybe Shruthi can add to what else they say.
The fact that their goal, I feel, is, degree has been something that you need to get. So that's the conversation I've had with a few students just the other day when I told, fine, you might want to start your own business. And yes, Ambani has done it and you will be able to do it too. But for now, since you're anyway here, you're sitting right here, right? You can use your mobile phone, have scroll through reels later on. But while you're sitting in the class, why don't you listen to each other, listen to us having conversations? And then if at any point in time, and I give them that leeway, if you feel that the class is getting dull or monotonous, you raise your hand. We'll break it. We'll pivot. Right? We'll give an opportunity to change maybe from a lecture base to an activity that I might, we'll have it in a basket.
And with Pomodoro
yes,
breakdown.
Yeah. So we give them an opportunity. It's just now communication that's what I'm holding on to, hoping that, giving an opportunity to have an open dialogue. And if they can tell honestly that, maybe you can include this, or can we talk about that? Recently this incident has happened. We have been seeing it on the news. Can we have a conversation about it?
Correct. So those conversations will bring a bit more perspective on what they are like. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just going back. We started with attention, and we actually covered quite a bit of AI tools and quite a bit of teaching. But we wanted to also cover a bit on the online teaching and learning part, right? Where this is where, in this scenarios where you have control over the students, you are directly dealing with the students. You can ask them to have attention because they are with you. You can ask them to do this. But okay, if you have been teaching online and then you want to bring those same attention to the students, where you don't have control over synchronous environment. Of course, live. But anyway, maybe you may not have directly deal with it. Anything that you want to share if you're teaching online and if you want to keep the attention span going? Any? I always say the competition is Netflix and the YouTube in the side.
Yes.
So you have your platform here, and that's the next one is YouTube.
So this is the it's your record. That's asynchronous. You're saying I go in live as an educator, and you have multiple people watching you as a stream.
Even okay. Let's forget the asynchronous also. Even in a live session, what do you do to make sure that you bring on the attention to the students? Because you don't have live control over them.
We don't have live control over them, but again, accountability. So 2 websites that have been designed to solve this specific problem, Nearpod and Wayground.
Okay.
So no matter where you are in the world, you're joining the lesson, we are doing the lesson together.
So you go with the same technique that you are...
And you bring it here as well, because...
this is more easier because everybody is in front of the
computer. Everyone is in front of the computer.
Correct.
So you're on your phone. And my biggest pain point, and I think for a lot of educators today, is disengagement. People show up and they're not engaged with the lesson. So if it has worked in an online mode, of course the results are going to be so much better in an in-person classroom, because if it worked without me being there physically present, and there's no one telling you to do it, you do it because okay, there's accountability here, there's someone who's watching you, policing you, the person sitting next to you is also doing the same thing. Goes back to the same movie theater example. Pulling out a phone is not the norm. Over here, you going on your phone, joining the lesson is a norm. So you're doing it, I'll also do it.
Okay.
So that another thing about how you keep your students engaged in an online session is this. Apart from that, I think a lot of planning and the students knowing what needs to happen. So again, they don't have the opportunity to unmute and interact with the character, but have the speaker in this space. But having questions that either make them think. But my go-to solution would be either a Nearpod or a Wayground.
Because they are already in the... So basically, if I can summarize that part, they are in front of the computer.
Yes.
They are in front of the mobile. They are going to get distracted. So maybe they get distracted with the lessons that you are delivering rather than getting distracted with something else. That
we try. That's the
aim.
Okay. What are the main when you look at this entire journey of education, right? I'm just trying to see what do you think. Will physical classrooms still be more valuable than online, or because the content? I'm just trying to imagine it through you. Like if everything is available and I can build everything with then what is the value of the education? If I can build anything, then what are we adding as educators or faculty? What are we adding into it to?
I think I would use your analogy that you gave a while before. It's just like, I put Lego blocks in front of you and I say, build me a spaceship. You've never seen a spaceship. I show you what a spaceship looks like as a teacher. And then I give you the tools with which you can build the spaceship using the same Lego. So I don't think AI can be used without knowing what you want. Like you said, you need to know what you want. You need to know what you want, and that's what we are here for. We're here to help you understand what you want, and then we hand this AI tool on
and
this
as you
silver
said, you become
platter.
a facilitator of it rather than a teacher. Do you have something to add on to that?
No, I think you summarized it.
And how do you think the physical classrooms, will that change? Or the value of physical environment, will that change? I've always pondered that question.
I don't believe that physical education is going away, but definitely there will be a change. It's possible that, and I'm sure it's already happening. We focus more on mentorship. We focus more on giving application-oriented environments, simulations, etc., and then guiding them. Basically, you learn outside the class, but do it with us, so that we may guide you. We aren't completely there yet, but I think that might be where we are headed.
Okay, that's interesting.
I just want to add one last thing to this question of will physical classrooms go away, or will we not have schools and colleges the way we think of? Are our institutions going to look barren?
People would be thinking, right? Teachers will be thinking, oh God, everything is in AI. So why am I here for? Kind of question may come to our heads sometimes.
Yes.
We deal with that anxiety on a daily basis. So even having, let's say, at least a surface level understanding of AI tools, if we're still worried about, am I going to have a job 10 years down the lane? It's not an individual anxiety. I feel it isn't going to go away because, sociologically speaking, every institution that you have has manifest functions. Okay, schools are there to educate people, but every institution also has latent functions. These are primary places of socialization. You meet other people, you talk to people, and as a human, we are a social being. That need for connection, that need for conversation is always going to be there. So maybe Diljith, there might come a time where 10 years down the lane, they're like, okay, you know what, I don't have to go to school anymore. I can go sit in my room, have these study blocks where 1 hour I do math with my AI tutor, 1 hour I do science. But
doesn't work.
That lack of connection will make us want to come back to square one. So maybe, perhaps there would be that.
I was telling my team, maybe when I lose my job, maybe AI will take over, maybe in 2030. I will sit and talk to people. And I think that will be more valuable because people don't talk to each other, right? So if I talk to people just like that, I think I would be getting paid for sitting and talking 1 hour talking time, guys.
Exactly. And
they have it in Japan
already. Maybe a joke right now. Yeah, Japan, I've heard you paid to do nothing kind of thing. So maybe paid to talk, I think, will be a norm. Maybe 5 years down the line, you can per hour.
Yeah, that is the exclusivity. And at the end of the day,
this may be then 1 or 2 hours. I don't use my mobile, right? Even for many, like when you're doing the recording, you're like, okay. But I think that's a quiet space, and nobody's calling me. So I think that spaces will. So maybe spaces which is like, okay, you come and do nothing. Will become more valuable.
Yeah. Even if we go there, I know that we will come back to a traditional space, which is what is happening, I think, in Finland also. They were the first to embrace tech in the classrooms, but they've removed it entirely and gone back to brick and mortar teaching.
Makes
so
sense.
maybe it will be a full circle moment for us.
No, but I think what the experience does not come if you are constantly distracted anyway, right?
Yeah.
So if in the whole conversation, I kind of hear the word attention a lot because you are just trying to capture that attention into one point.
True.
I think that's what we are trying to do. And the not to critique the students, they are in an environment where they are getting pulled into 8 or 10 or 100 different directions every 3 seconds of there. So they are also going through that difficulty. They don't know how to handle that difficulty. Anything that you want to tell a student who is hearing this and say, hey, I want to make a bit of change. I know you can't even advise them to stop using mobile phones or things like that, right? But anything that you have personally done so that you to bring your attention back, something small that you guys have done on your.
I haven't started, but then, when I was in college, there was a professor who would let us meditate in class. And there was this thing that he would make us do where we would, clap with our fingers.
Yeah.
So then it's called a rain clap or something.
Yes, I've heard of that.
And I want to bring it actually to class, just a
Very
break where you're not
interesting.
thinking about anything, just having fun, being in the moment, which has become a rarity for all of us.
Yeah. Even 1 minute of silence, I think,
Does help.
sometimes people, I mean, maybe you should try it and let us know how
We
did that
will.
go. Like 1 minute of pausing,
Yeah.
maybe. That because I think the whole thing is about attention now, right?
Yes.
Everybody is pulling your attention. Maybe one tip I can share is like I've tried to remove apps from my phone, the apps which scroll.
Yes.
And then it's not like you stop using it. You go to browser and still use it.
Yes.
Your experience is so bad that you're not addicted to it.
And use grayed out
Grayscale,
screens.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've seen students use it too, and I'm quite impressed with the fact that
Are some students
using it. Yes.
Yeah.
So you have this grayscale option on your phone at a click of a button.
So boring.
So boring. So
Yeah.
I actually weaned myself from playing. Which game is that? The 4 squares. Ludo.
Ludo.
I'm so glad I can't remember the name of the game.
You're so
You were addicted to
successful.
it and then you
Yes.
came out of it.
Through this method of graying out the screen. Maybe encourage them to do that.
But
Because-
app thing has worked out a lot
Yes,
for me
I've
because
heard.
the moment you remove the app, you still get access to the content, but it's
Yeah.
not in that experience that you have to still do 2 clicks
Yes.
to reach there. It's a
Correct.
pain. Because you have to go to your browser
Yeah.
and say youtube.com.
I
And
know.
then that's painful.
And the screen is
Yeah.
just not interesting enough.
Yeah.
That's not
The UI isn't
the UI
as-
was as smooth and as
the app.
experiential as this. I know people will be like, oh, why you are different? But it really helps to bring some bit of attention. I mean, we can't change the whole thing, right? You are in a way in this system and then you are used to some of this. But I think small things, will make
Incrementally. So what I
because
do-
I think if you in the world where everybody is distracted,
Mhm.
if you get a bit of attention, if you are, I think you'll be more valuable than others.
Very
Right?
true.
Yes.
Very true.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a very
It could be possible, right? Because if you go by the crowd, you are all distracted. So, but if you are a bit non-distracted, I think that, and you also spot those kids. Do you see students who are very attentive and very non-distracted?
Yes. Oh, yes. Yeah.
we are
You can
blessed with a few students here and there
And
scattered
do you
in our
see a
classrooms.
difference there in their learning?
Interest levels.
Because one of our BBA students I met, and he's good performing student. He says he writes notes and he makes classes. He use all the technology. It's not like he's not aware of the technology. But he told me, I write notes, I draw, I have a notebook, I make all these points and I read it and I revise it and things like that. And you can see the ability for that kid to
Recollection.
replicate
Yes.
and perform is quite high.
Very true.
Research has proven it. When you write things down or when there is direct engagement with the material in a physical way, retention is so much better.
I think that's how we see those answers. So sometimes when we use very specific niche examples in the class, and 3 months later when they have their exam, we see those same examples, propping up, which makes us
Validates
feel
you
yes.
as a teacher.
What is that? I mean, can you...
So let's say that I've spoken about something very niche, something very something that doesn't appear on social media any day. So some very unique example, and it comes a full circle when we see those answers in the scripts, answer papers. So we don't know whose paper it is,
Do
but
you
we
still
see
read
those.
those papers or you use AI?
You have to read
Read,
papers.
yeah.
Read it,
Yeah,
right?
I said it. I think I said it with a frown. I enjoy reading those answer papers. I did not read it with a frown, but we do.
Okay. But you still
Yes.
have to...
Yeah.
Evaluation is purely human.
And do you have exams which are very non-tech?
Non-tech, absolutely. Like I
Yeah.
told earlier.
So that's when
no
all the
phones.
tests happened, right?
Yes.
The real...
Recollection, application.
Do you see students who are performing very well with tech and then with this non-tech environment, they really struggle?
We don't get to know whose papers we're evaluating at all. All
Sorry?
we see is
we,
a
we
grade.
don't monitor that. Mapping. That's a very interesting metric to
Yeah.
monitor, but we haven't
Because you don't get the names.
We don't
They
get the
don't.
names. The students don't get the number of marks they get. It's a grade-based system. So they know they get an A, an A+, and they come to us. And that bracket does not change. So acha, you're an A+ student, you would see the A+ there. But to map this, because it's not as systematically thought of, maybe.
Okay. Maybe
not.
because these marks and all are very no privacy and
Yes,
all
Yes,
that
that's
is
the
a big.
reason.
Yes.
It's not like you're
That's it.
biased and.
Yeah.
Okay.
So-
So you even grading, you sit and with the paper and.
No, it's virtual now.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, it's just scanned copies of the handwritten sheets. That's just 50% of the assessment. The other 50 marks come in from
The
other
whole
continuous
Intla-
assessment
yeah.
processes.
Sure. I think I've learned a lot during the conversation. I think we will the main thing one of the thing we talked a lot about attention,
Mhm.
and the second thing I remember is that we talked about how AI can be used for teaching. I think the workload of teachers are increasing a lot, but the point is if you're able to create something or like building has become easy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Building.
And then your
Engage
quote,
the
I
student.
remember, bring them. What is the quote? Maybe you should say it. I don't know.
Bring them for the excitement to the class, but stay for the learning.
Bring them for.
Can
I think it was
just add
come for the
something
excitement.
to that? Not
Yes.
a quote.
Uh,
There was this one time where a student came up to her and said, "Ma'am, I don't know how students don't like your class because your class feels like Netflix." So it's not,
oh,
we are
wow.
competing with Netflix, not just on live
That's
lessons,
so-
but in class.
So there was a girl who was using the phone. Oh, thank you so much for bringing it up. There's a student who was using the phone, and so I called her, personally to have a one-on-one conversation to see what's the
What's
reason.
going
Because
on.
sometimes it can be something more serious. We never know what's happening in their life. So this kid who overheard me, I wouldn't say counseling, but overheard me talking to her, he said, "Yeah, ma'am, I don't know how people are not, how people are not paying attention because I feel like I'm sitting in a Netflix documentary." in
Yeah,
class."
documentary.
Netflix documentary, great. I mean, it's in a way. So we have the tools to do.
Yeah. So
If you want to
Yes.
make it like a Netflix documentary, you
Yes.
can. Anything? Come on, help me out here, please. The third one. Fourth one, what did we do?
I think engagement is what we
Engagement.
spoke of.
Yeah, I use that tool that you specified, right?
Yeah, Waygrounds.
The Wayground has
Mm.
been one of the tools to engage students and keep them going.
And we spoke of how someone who's been in the profession for 20, 30 years, how are they embracing this change? And should we even embrace this change? And I think
Yeah.
we transition to when you should not use
Yeah,
AI.
when you should
Hmm.
not AI is very important.
Yeah.
Great. I think it was an amazing conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Diljith.
Yes.
I was going to grab my phone.
Oh, is it? Okay. Now you're making me. Okay, so thank you so much. Shruthi. Now this feels very.
Scripted.
Thank
So-
you, Diljith, for having us.
Thank you so much. Do you want to add something? You are doing something here. He's my. He will say if it is bad, he will tell me.
Okay.
Be
Was
nice.
it bad?
Very good.
When we share these videos, you will get a bit more inquiry. I think we have around 600 members now in that group. Okay, chalo. Thank you so much,
It's a pleasure.
and really looking forward.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, we are looking forward for more conversations on this.
Yeah, we
space.
will.
Yeah.
You can go to Miti Cafe. I don't know whether you guys have time. Great. Please cut it in a way that you are comfortable. Thank you.
Thanks.